everyone, and welcome to Vibration, where we empower individuals to speak their distinct truth, passions, and personal message on a global online stage. I'm your host, Michelle McDonald, passionate author, speaker, and entrepreneur. And tonight, I give a special thank you to our show sponsor, Amber L, a Bahamian artisan skincare line that encourages you to nourish your everyday skin glow. I've always admired how film has the ability to capture the characters and cultures of a society that can be inspiring, especially to children. Being able to see a character on screen that you can relate to at any age is absolutely mesmerizing. In connection to this concept, I am featuring a very well known face in the Bahamian film and media sector, Stephanie Nihon, in connection to tonight's topic, Bahamian Mentor, developing the next generation of local talent. Stephanie Krista Neon was born and raised in Nassau, Bahamas. She was discovered at 15 years old and began modeling internationally, appearing in such magazines as Italian Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, American Vogue, ID, and the Dolce& Gabbana campaign, as well as many seasons of pret-a-porter and couture runway shows for well-known designers. She developed an interest in photography and production that was inspired by fashion photographers she worked with, including Stephen Meisel, Peter Lindbergh, Craig McDean, Elaine Constantine, Arthur Elgort, and Sergei Barbu. Stephanie was the first Bahamian model to sign with Elite Model Management and appear in Italian Vogue. She then made a career for herself in art direction, photography, casting, audiovisual production, and LFD Productions was born. Stephanie is also the co founder and art director of CMM Talent and Modeling Agency in Nassau, Bahamas. Her most beloved endeavor yet is as a creator, co writer, and executive producer of the number one live action children's show in the Bahamas and the Caribbean, Gumbe Kids, which has 3 seasons and has received international festival recognition and awards, most notably winning Best TV Series at the Cannes World Film Festival, where Stephanie also won Best Producer. She hopes that Gumbe Kids can become a global vehicle for change and is climate forward and passionate about women's and children's rights, youth empowerment, disability inclusion, educational advocacy, and cultural awareness. Stephanie, welcome to the stage tonight.
Thank you, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. And I know that there are so many people of all ages who are excited about tonight's topic, and also a lot of actors and models who want to be discovered. But we're going to get into that just a little bit later. First, we really want to know, with all that your entrepreneurial journey has led you, all of the business endeavors that you have been involved in, with your journey going from fashion to production, what is it that led you into the arts and film sector?
Gosh, I think I've always been a creative. I was always my favorite topic in school was always art. Like I couldn't wait till art came around the clock, like everything else. I was like, oh, when's art class? And I just always enjoyed it was my outlet from painting to playing guitar to like writing. It was just always something that I enjoyed from young. And I think I was always trying to figure out what artistically I was like going to do with my life. And I went. I actually I explored a lot after I finished modeling. I explored photography, graphic design, web design, and then art direction. And from there, I just continued to get more and more curious about the other side of the camera. Once I started working with CMM agency and I was becoming an agent, I really wanted to get more into the production side so that we could showcase our talent. And I found that really, like, I believe my life's work is about providing Bahamians opportunities. It was something that, like, I think it resonates so deeply with me. First of all, because I only had a Bahamian passport and I was afforded this opportunity to go travel the world and work around the world, but also because our islands are so talented. And it's amazing how our talent's not getting viewed globally or appreciated on that scale. And we just haven't had any, actors and models come out of the Bahamas as much as we should, because those opportunities, it just came down to the opportunities. It wasn't that we didn't
Mhm.
have the great talent and models, they just weren't getting developed properly or being handed the opportunities. So I thought, wow, well, it's been the gift that keeps on giving, that I was afforded that opportunity, and that I got to meet all these great people and agencies and network. And like, I might as well put that to use when I, move back home. So that's pretty much how it all ended up happening. And it was all passion based and eager to learn and wanting to just see, what we could do if we all came together.
One thing I can absolutely applaud you for is actually coming back home, because a lot of persons, once they get that education and they're following that energy and that passion, and they just get a taste of like what's out there in the world, they don't come back. They just kind of stick with it and they run with it. But you, as you stated, you followed your passion and you found your purpose, and you recognize that while you appreciated the opportunity that you had, you wanted more for those who were in your homeland, and you chose to come back.
Yeah, and I think, at the time I really wanted to also further studies. So when I first came back, I thought, like, I'm going to look at going back to college too, and like furthering studies, and I want to get more into entrepreneurial type of businesses. And it was like, I just love being home as well. And I mean, I'm full of national pride. I mean, you can tell by having a show like Oomba Kids. And I just really like wanted to figure out my path. And everything in your life kind of leads you to, it's interesting, like everything you go through kind of leads you to where you end up. And
Yeah.
it was like all these little tools that ended up helping me figure out that, like, that was where it was at for me, was trying to develop our talent pool in the end, and it gives me life. Like, I love it.
Yeah. And I really like how you mentioned your patriotism. And absolutely, we see it in every episode, all of your characters having that Junkanoo in there, everything that you really promote throughout each and every episode. And it really connects with the fact that not a lot of Caribbean kids can see themselves, even Bahamian kids. And fortunately, there is Gumbe kids for them, being able to see characters, colors, words, definitions, phrases, things that remind them of who they are, where they come from. Is there a particular reason why you wanted to include that aspect in the show?
Yeah, I mean, that part. See, I'm also a mother. I have three little girls, and so it was really important to me that the content they watched in general, I wasn't thrilled with. And kids watch a lot of YouTube now, and
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
less and less educational. And I was hoping for a show that they would all love, that would be, educational but also fun and exciting, and that it still had the elements of the things they like to watch on YouTube, which is generally kids doing other things. They love to watch kids doing stuff and learn from kids. So, I tried to take those components and learn from what my kids liked and make it an educational show, but not just educational, like teaching like actual fundamentals of life and things that actually matter. I mean, I think climate solutions is incredibly important for children to learn about. They are the future. The
Yeah.
Bahamas is very vulnerable to climate change. And it's
Mhm.
like, if our kids aren't learning the solutions, then why are we bothering to do anything? Because they are the ones who have to continue to protect our planet. I don't think there's enough shows that promote that for kids, because kids learn well through entertainment. So that was another motivation. And then, of course, like carrying on culture and tradition and outside play, because now kids are going more and more to devices, and they're just not, you know learning about things. We're losing tradition, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Also, when you said about where you come from, it's really important. Like, it's surprising how many kids don't know where Junkanoo came from, or don't know, like, much about history. And it's just a great that we're able to portray that. And I take it seriously. All these folklore characters that we have never seen on screen, like the Chicharni, and like, we have
Mhm.
interpretations, a lot of drawings, or but, like, it's really, I take that seriously to represent, there's Babuki or Barabi or any of these characters, like, properly, and in a way that, this is going to be memorable for kids. They're going to look at this and remember it, and that's how they're going to always think that character looks. So we put a lot of thought into that. Even like I'm Bonnie and Calico Jack, this was the first time ever on Goombay Kids we portrayed them for kids consumption when they landed in New Providence. It had never been put on screen before for kids consumption. And so we were really like careful about how we portrayed that, and so it was a way that they'll always remember that think that's what Anne Bonny looked like in their minds. So you try to always like take good care with that.
And I really like the fusion that you've brought about because a lot of these different folk tales and stories come from different islands. And so if you're just from Nassau and you don't have any relatives from the Family Islands, you would have never heard about them. You couldn't have even imagined what these are like. And so you just being able to put that on the screen really connects them more to what the Bahamas is about. And that's very unique.
Yeah, and what's interesting as we like delved into that with the writers is that these stories, a lot of them aren't on paper. They've
That's
been told on porches by Grammys,
yes,
you know, and,
exactly.
and then
Yes.
Andros has their version and Cat Island has
Hmm.
their version, and it's actually not really like true, like there's not like a true story. It's all kind of variations and different, versions of it. So we had to try to like pin it down best we could, and also people argue over the versions and how they went. So it's been, we almost have to try to just like figure out the best way we can to portray it too, because it's about time we got these down properly, and kids can continue these stories again, though they will get lost too if we didn't have them in writing or on screen.
Yes, definitely. And that is a growing concern in different aspects of our tradition with the older generations. If they're not passing it on or the younger generation isn't showing interest, we're absolutely going to lose it. And so this is such a creative and fun way to like archive that experience and be able to share it as the generations go on. And like you said, in a fun way, because that's how kids remember. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily kind of sit down and just kind of ingest it. It's like, do I see myself doing it? Can me and my friends do it? Can I be that character? Okay, now I want to do more.
And we want it to be used as a teaching tool in the classroom more and more, because we cover so much that's used in curriculums and in schools. And we actually did an event with the Ministry of Education at the Bahamas National Trust at one point, where we talked about it being used as a teaching tool in the classrooms to a bunch of educators over. It was like a webinar. And we're putting our YouTube videos up of different segments, whether it's about the environment or STEAM-based education or how to plait straw, even, or whatever it may be, that can be referred to in the classroom as a teaching tool as well. And I want to see that hopefully more and more, because I think I always remembered when the teacher would roll in the TV into the classroom. It was always like a special moment, and I always remembered like what they showed us. Like for some reason, that was always kind of highlight, So I hope that we can do that too. The educational component can be used in that format.
Absolutely. And I really like how you have a vision for this show. It's not necessarily just about the episodes or the character. You want to see it have more of a reach, more of an impact for the Bahamas, because you're truly connected to your homeland and everything that you want the show to be.
Yeah, and I mean, I think island adventure is fun. I think people are like fascinated with the Bahamas. They save up
Yes.
a year to come visit the Bahamas, and not just because it's pretty, but because culturally and the people and everything that comes with it. And I think people have traveled here and they've seen Junganoo, but they didn't know what it was all about and all those things. So I do think there's a fascination. And I think that it's special. Of course, I do. I'm biased, but I think it's special, and I think it's a little different than anything that's out there. So we'll see how we're received more and more internationally. We were very blessed to get this, U.S. streaming deal. We're the first live action scripted kid show in the Caribbean to ever get that, a North American streaming deal. So that's exciting. And we're now on Happy Kids, which is a free download app, and you can binge watch our seasons 1, 2, and 3, which is amazing.
Woo!
Because before we had to just wait till cable played us too, which is great to be here on cable, but it's so cool that we can be on demand. And we can find us on Roku and Apple TV and Android and Amazon Fire TV now. So that's like opened up a world of, I think Happy Kids is like 16 million active users. So just to
Nice.
be able to know that people are discovering us and just like stumbling on us, well, kids, because kids like to, they discover content on these apps. So it's just we'll see like how far we can take this. Basically, every time we have a season, I feel extremely grateful that we can keep going. These shows are incredibly hard to sustain in the Bahamas, and any filmmaker can tell you that. just because of funding and the industry being so young and
Mhm.
all of it. But it's like the little engine that could, little train that could. Like I really believe, like that there's something that's meant to be about this show. Every time we have a hard time and we're not sure how we're going to pull together something like intervenes, some angels like fall in our lap and help it see it through. And I think people generally want to see it continue because it's been a happy place. And what I love about it most is that it highlights all the goodness of the Bahamas, because obviously, like any place, we have our issues, and that's all you hear about on the news. And even in the international news, we have unfortunate news that comes out. That can be very big news. So it's nice that we now have something that shows like how all our goodness, and I hope that can really be good for the Bahamas in the long run.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I really like that you mentioned that aspect of this journey so that other directors and producers and creators out there can understand that while it is a labor of love and something that you're following because you love it, there are going to be obstacles and it isn't easy. We do have limitations here in the Bahamas, but as long as you keep pushing, you will find persons that agree or follow in with your vision and want to see it happen.
Yeah, and I think you got to push hard and you can't give up. And it takes a few seasons for a show to even catch on just by international standards, and that was true for us here too. Like season 3 was when we finally won all the awards and we had grown our fan base locally. It takes a little while to catch on,
Yeah.
And Bahamians are funny too, because like they like that international recognition before they jump on the boat. So like once we got all those awards, like everybody was so proud, and it's been like it's become quite a national pride, this show, which is like extremely exciting too. But yeah, I mean, it was like amazing to see that kind of recognition, and especially when we couldn't really afford to pay people well at that point to be on the crew, and it was all like a leap of faith. I was just so happy that everybody had something to show for it, that we
Yeah.
like walked away with awards and everybody had that on their resume, and like that was special. And for me, I was like, oh, good, because now we all work so hard and we have these awards we can show for it. And then of course we continued, and from there, because of the awards too, it helped us to get funding for the next season. So you just got to keep pushing. It is like a big part of it, especially with TV series.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's definitely a journey and you have to stay persistent.
Hmm.
So, one thing about everything that Gumbe Kids represents, especially when it comes to the Bahamas, there was an opportunity to showcase adult actors, but you chose to provide a unique opportunity to young Bahamian kids. Why was this important for you to highlight?
So when we okay, well, talent, if you don't have talent, you don't have a show. So it was also at CMM agency, we were doing acting classes every Saturday, and I was like blown away by these kids, like blown away. And they were learning how to audition, and they were doing workshops with international acting coaches coming in, and they were teaching them like all about how to do international auditions. They were taught voiceover, characterization, scene studies, and these kids were blowing our mind with talent. And they were like, when are the auditions? Like they all want to be on Netflix, and we're like, there aren't any hardly for on screen. And it was hard to kind of tell them that. So I wouldn't want to squash the dreams, and I'd be like, yeah, we get them sometimes. There'd be an independent film, or there would be like commercials, but most of them didn't even have dialogue for the kids.
Mm,
And in my mind, the kids are the future of our industry. If we get them trained, not only in the acting sense, but they get curious for the other side of the camera, inevitably our industry is going to grow more. And actually, even their parents are like, oh, wow, this is a real job. This isn't like, we can't act. That's not a real job. We can't have that anymore. We're just going to start to evolve in that. So there was a lot of different components to why I thought that was important. And it was, I just sat there at the end of acting class one day, like staring at a wall, literally, just like what are we going to do to showcase this talent? And so I thought, like, why don't we do a kids show? Because kids shows can actually have adults and teens too. It can have anybody in it. And
yeah.
I didn't know what I was getting into. But I ended up, putting this together very modestly, the first season. There was only a few of us filming it, and it's very small budget, and I drew the logo, and like it was very modest. And we were just like, we never really had a kids show here properly for that age group. But like, how inspiring would that be in general, right? So presented it to Revcale Bahamas, who were like, "We love this idea. Let's do it." And the pandemic hit 2 months later, but we managed to get 2 episodes filmed. And so from there, we did remote filming. Like the director was directing the kids and their parents over Zoom to film them. So it was almost like YouTube.
Wow.
I know, because all the eyeballs were at home. So we thought, let's try to still get something out there.
Smart.
Um, the editing was clever, and we mixed in our footage that we had gotten outside, and it did work. I mean, it was very modest production value, but it was charming. It was a very sweet season one, and we managed to get it off the ground at least while people were home. And yeah, we just did what we could. And season two, we had like limited restrictions, and we were able to have skeleton crews. But we saw the season we really wanted to do in season three when those restrictions lifted, and that was the award-winning season. Yeah.
Excellent. Yes. And the thing is, I know that that has touched so many Bahamian kids throughout the islands. Just being able to know that you can have a dream to be an actor and be successful, and you can build a resume and see yourself on screen, something that they were just never exposed to before. They would see the international shows and be
Mhm.
like, oh, I like that character. I would like to do this. I'd like to see myself as that. But now they can actually believe it as a reality.
Yeah, I know. And we had the adult actors on set just, and they're like, I'm so jealous that these kids get this opportunity. Like, I wish this was around when I was doing it. Because yeah, I mean, it just wasn't. And, they were wanting to do this from when they were young too. So yeah, I think it's, hopefully it can continue as long as possible, because it is such an awesome platform for our kids. And even the kids that don't end up acting as a career, they're learning like public speaking skills and confidence. And there's always these moments where I cry on set because I can't get over how this child has evolved from rehearsals to the moment he's on screen, or she. Like, there'll be times where they don't believe in themselves and they doubt themselves. They're like, I don't think I can do this. And we're like in rehearsal, hugging them, like, you can do this. Like, you can be fine. And then we get on set and they like blow our mind. And I just like, I mean, I always have trouble holding back tears because it's amazing to see, like when you go out of your comfort zone and you really try and you dedicate yourself, like that, like what you can do, and it's like, it's really amazing. And then forever that kid's going to be happy and proud they did do it and they did try and they have something to show for it. And I mean, this kind of resume is helpful for their whole life, and even getting into performing arts schools or anything. So I really, think it's, hopefully that it's like a gift that keeps giving for them as well, almost like the opportunity I was extended when I was a teenager.
Yeah, I think it will be. And the thing about kids is they remember everything. So all of these little moments, in between tears and things like that, they look back at that as teenagers and adults, and they're just like, you know what? Miss Neon, she
Mhm.
told me this, and I believed in myself. And ever since then, I've just been a rocket going,
Right. Yeah.
going, going.
Yeah, I mean, it's kids too. They're interesting because they can really come, be silly and come out of their shells, and easier than adults can at times. Like we can like be like, oh, I don't do that. I don't talk in public. But kids, like if they go ahead and they actually do try, because they'll take that leap like a little easier. Like then forever they're able to do it. So. Yeah, it's been nice to see that. I really I enjoy that part so much, like seeing the growth of these kids, and seeing them just like embrace it and do their best and try hard, and like reap the benefits of that has been really cool. And we're just so talented. It's mind blowing. There's like, it's almost like in American TV. You see this manufactured kind of kid talent. It doesn't feel as natural almost as like the talent we're seeing here. And I that's something that like people continue to say that see it in North America. They're like, wow, this is like such natural talent. It's incredible, these kids. And it is definitely getting recognized, when like the actual talent, the actual acting is always pointed out when we show it to people abroad. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that's really, really amazing. And just a reminder of what we have, because for the most part, we may just be unaware of just how many creatives we have just buzzing about in the Bahamas, how important
Mhm.
the creative sector is. I know we've touched on this already. I mean, you understand that your show, your vision, everything that you've done has been completely groundbreaking from a national and international perspective. And how does it feel?
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a lot of gratitude because it's been very difficult too. I guess gosh, yeah. I mean, it's hard to even find the words. I'm very grateful for it, but also I'm always trying to get the next thing done. So like, we just finished season 5, very excited about season 5. It looks great, excited, it's in post, it's getting edited. But then I'm like, okay, how are we gonna like do season 6? How are we gonna film that? Like, how are we gonna do even better? How are we gonna like fund it? So like you start to just get swamped into like the worry of the next thing. But then I will stop and I'll be like, wow, if you look at the grand scheme of things, like look at how far we've come. This is incredible. And that's the motivation that keeps you going too. But there's always this like little bit of like, oh my gosh, like we got to keep it going. We got to keep this going, this train. And it's all up to me to figure that out. And then we have this amazing event coming, the Keys Conference, which,
Mhm.
this is like exciting too, but also, just a million miles a minute trying to get it all done. But this, I think, will end up being a pipeline for our industry as far as training and scouting, and that would be happening on a much grander scale than even I can do it individually, reaching out to individuals or having little auditions around town. We want to have an actual conference where people are getting trained and hearing from industry professionals and getting the opportunity to get scouted and network and learn the industry and grow it to a scale where it's bringing tourists in and becoming a conference, one of the top conferences in the industry as well. And that's something we were incredibly fortunate to get all these top agents in the modeling and acting side committed to coming down. I mean, that was the first, amazing hurdle to get through. And these are the top agents in the world. I mean, coming down, and just everything's coming together. But it's a massive live event that we're doing, and that takes a lot of work. So I've been like really pounding the pavement. It almost feels like it did in season 1 of Good Kids, where you're just like, wow, this is like new and crazy and exciting, and like trying to learn everything in real time. I've got 2 US producers that are working remotely from New York that have done these kind of scouting conferences and have done many live show productions that are very big live shows, well known. And so I have a great team in the live event department because that hasn't been my department, but I'm learning a lot. And I just like think that this will be, hopefully we'll get some Bahamian talent discovered, and out of it, and also, have an incredible conference and show that we can, hopefully make annual, and that will also have a pipeline of talent for Goomba kids that, where we can also discover new talent for the show, and in turn, our industry will be taken more seriously on a global scale, which we really need as well because I don't think the Caribbean is taken seriously in TV and film at all. We're a very underserved, marginalized market in TV and film. There's not enough representation at all. And there's only a handful that ever made it on streaming networks so far. But the more that we can show what we've got, and put things behind us like Fire Festival and failed events, I think we really can show like, listen, like we are more than that, and we have a lot that we can contribute to this industry, and we're a beautiful destination. So come and enjoy this conference here, and have a great experience. So that's the kind of the idea behind it. And it's an incredibly low ticket price too. Like we made it as low as possible so Bahamians can take part. That was important to me, because these scouting conferences with the same agents attending in the States are like about 1,500 to 5,000 a ticket.
Wow.
And we made it so that it was, ours is like 300 a ticket. Like it's much more affordable. We just needed to have an event where we could at least break even, to just put it on. And that was like my main motivation, is just so that we can try to like, in year 1, provide the best opportunity we can that hasn't existed here. And I mean, it's almost been a decade since we even had a scouting conference of any kind here, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how I was discovered. I was discovered at Atlantis in a similar scouting conference. They brought down 3 agencies, and that's how I was afforded that chance to do that. And I think that's, you know, a lot of where the motivation came for me to do this, because that's how I got that opportunity. So very excited about it for sure. I think it's going to be very cool. But yet another thing on my plate. But yeah, I think that overall it's going to be like, it's just going to help everything. It's going to help the industry. It's going to help Goombay kids. It's going to help train and just our industry grow. So I think it's 100% worth it.
Absolutely. And I love how inclusive it is as well, because it's not only for actors, right? There's another sector that can be discovered. And as you stated, there's so many different aspects that you'll be going into to be discovered. And so you can really kind of identify your strengths, your weaknesses, and, if you have what it takes, it's an overall learning experience overall.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a lot of show. Like, there's going to be industry panels, workshops, fashion show. There's going to be, you know, red carpet experience. There's going to be giveaways. You're going to, you know, have entertainment and comedians, and then the scouting portion, which will be much of the afternoon, and then callbacks at the end of the day for the agents. Will call back whoever they want to stay behind and see. So, in addition to just having the experience of scouting conference, getting in front of these great agents, getting feedback, you'll also learn a lot about the industry, a lot, and meet a lot of people, leave with a lot of business cards, and be able to understand how you can advance yourself in different areas of the industry as well. And I think it's something that we really need here. We don't have like a hub or an event like that for TV and film. We've had film festivals where you go and enjoy and appreciate films that have been made and you get to meet people. But I do think that this is something that where our talent will get to actually thrive, from, and that's very key for being able to even make a film.
Yes. Very, very true. So, Stephanie, let us know how we can support you, Gumbay Kids, and sign up for Keys Conference.
Yeah, I would say, oh, we had a little glitch there. I would say, yeah, as far as Keys Conference goes, we have a website. You can learn all about it. That is www.thekeysconference.com. Same thing on Instagram and Facebook, The Keys Conference. Check us out. We even have a social media competition going on where you can win free tickets right now. We have a seminar happening this Saturday at Balmoral Club from 9 to 11 where you can come in person, just walk in. It's free, and ask your questions about the event in real time. And also can get a headshot taken if you need one for acting headshots. And yeah, I mean, it's an amazing opportunity, and might even be a once in a lifetime opportunity. So definitely would take advantage of it if you're an aspiring model and actor. Goombay Kids is having an audition there too if you're interested in being on the show. We also will have another audition early next year, looking for new talent and roles. I always tell kids to don't worry and try again if you don't get it, because every year we're looking for different roles. So maybe you weren't perfect for that role we're looking for, that was specific to an age or a look or something. But you might very well be perfect for next year. So, not to get discouraged in any way. And the CMM agency, we're always here to help anybody that needs guidance, wants to start modeling or acting. We're the local agency that tries to help develop talent. So we're always here, and on Instagram, Facebook as well. Yeah, so that's basically, I guess, everything. Yeah.
Excellent. Stephanie, you have been a Bahamian mentor to many throughout the country, being able to use your experience and also your connections to really highlight the creative talent that lies here throughout our country. I always love speaking with creatives, highlighting what we have here in the Bahamas. And so it has been an absolute joy to be able to feature you and to also talk about your treasure, Gumbe Kids. You
Well,
have absolutely disrupted the charts when it comes to the Bahamian and Caribbean sector with this live action kids show. And so I applaud you for everything that you've done and everything that you continue to do.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and meet you, and you're a wonderful host. Thank you for having me, and thank you for all your support. Couldn't do it without all the support. So, yeah, I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
You're very welcome. To everyone who's watching, if you haven't watched the full episode, you can watch the replay on YouTube and Facebook. I thank our audience for tuning in, and also to our very special guest, Stephanie Nihon, who is continuing to pave the way for local talent here in the Bahamas. Until next week, I invite you to watch another episode of Vibration, where we raise your frequency and amplify your truth. Thanks, everyone.